Mom said, go to school, get the education, get the JOB. So got the engineering degree. I did it for the what? Money. God, you guys are so right. So I got the engineering degree. By the way, I'd like to share this information with everybody. It took me 5.5 years to graduate with my degree. Listen carefully. I graduated with a 2.63 grade point average. Give it up. All right. By the way, that was a test. See, based on your response, I could tell the positive people from the negative people. Positive people were like, 5.5 years, 2.63, I don't care. That boy graduated. Right? Negative people were like, I'm not clapping. Right? That's because you're negative. In your mind, a 2.63 is C+. I'm a positive, brother. It's a B-. It's all perspective, right? It doesn't matter. And so I go to school, got the education, got my first job working for Honeywell. Anybody familiar with Honeywell? Undersea Systems Division. Yes. By the way, I spoke at JANCH and GCC in Saudi Arabia. It was very nice. Thank you very much for the invitation. It was very nice. And so I started working for Honeywell. You remember the movie The Hunt for Red October? Yes. Yes. Okay. I worked on that torpedo system. It was called the Mach 50 to Mach 46 torpedo system. I wrote some software for it, right? And now here's how the torpedo works. So what happens is, you drop the torpedo in the water. You launch it from a ship or you drop it from a helicopter. As soon as the torpedo hits the water, it begins to make a circular pattern, right? And then the sonar system turns on and it begins to, you know, that boom, that ping, it begins to ping, right? And what is that pinging? What happens is that the torpedo emits a sound. The sound will go off in the distance, bounce off an object, and bring back a reflection, an outline of that object. Everybody with me? And it's looking for the outline of a what? A submarine, right? So sure enough, goes in the water, and again, circular pattern, ping, 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 says, I think I found it, right? Moves off in this direction, ping, ping, gets closer, says, underwater rock formation, not what I'm looking for, breaks off the attack. Then it goes back into a circular pattern again. Then it moves off in another direction. So I think I found it. Ping, ping, says, school of fish, not what I'm looking for, breaks off the attack again. And go after a whale. You don't want to hit a whale with a torpedo. Overkill, right? So what happens is the torpedo is very fascinating the way it works. And this is important because this is who we are, and I'm going to tie it back into why it plays into sales. When the torpedo hits the water, and it goes after an object, and it isn't what it wants, the torpedo learns. It has something called artificial intelligence. It has what they call a blackboard design. Every time it goes after something, it fails. It updates its programming. It becomes smarter. Then it goes after something else. And if it isn't what it wants, what happens? It reprograms itself, it gets smarter until eventually it hits its what? Target. Isn't that what success is? And more so, isn't that what selling is? Because when we first start out in selling, we screw up that deal. How many have screwed up the deal? Yeah. If you haven't screwed up the deal, you haven't been selling long enough, right? Or enough, right? And then what happens? You learn from that, right? But here's what's fascinating. Here's an interesting stat. 78% of the population is either unhappy or would rather be doing something else. 78% of the population is either unhappy or rather be doing something else. I submit to you what happened is the following. They go after something, and when it isn't what they want, what do you think most people do? They just stop. They talk themselves out of moving. You ever take that job? Don't raise your hand. Don't confess. This is not an intervention, right? But you ever go after a job and you take the job and you say to yourself, I'm just going to do this for a couple of months. I'm just doing this because I need the money. I'm not going to do this for more than a year. A year passes by, 2 years pass by, you're still rationalizing in your head. Now you start thinking, well, maybe things will change. Maybe management will change. Maybe my boss will be hit by a truck and things will really change, right? You know, but nothing really what? Changes. And people stay there because they're afraid, like the torpedo, to go in another direction and do something. Isn't that fascinating? Most people just rationalize. You know what the word rationalize means, right? The ability to rationalize to yourself.